Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name's Malcolm. We have a very special guest right after her big comeback to pro wrestling. Vix Crow, how are you feeling? That match was incredible, but I want to hear your thoughts about the match.
Hi, Malcolm. Thank you so much for having me. Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I feel good. Thank you. I mean, I won't lie, I had a little bit of a bug, but um, you know, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Like when I saw the match highlights and like just hearing the fact that you're coming back to pro wrestling and whatnot, we did the interview right after I believe it was Rowdy or Wrestling. You just had your comeback to like the independent scene at the time, and now you're actually back wrestling. Maybe like a few months later, 9 months, 10 months later. What's your thoughts on like you coming back into this business now, as far as like a in ring aspect?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me here, but I've been thinking about this, like honestly. So I really want to just demonstrate like good practice of like women's wrestling. Like I just want to roll around with my friends. But there is a business there, so that's kind of like the important part. So also too, with kind of having my own personal experience, like working with these women, they're so remarkable. So I get to be teachable like a student, like definitely in interaction with the students at Hatchet. They're if they're in their early 20s, they've kind of like saw our divas,
Yeah.
generation. And that's where we get to like share, how to do our own personal move sets better. Like the experience that's waking up within me, stepping in the ring just for, just practicing and conditioning. That was kind of, I think, the last time we shared, I was really, if I'm going to do it, I want to have a month by myself in there to see if my feet anchor down
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been that. So that's what I want to kind of do is share the experience, but also to share it being an economic system for friends to help each other, like women, like
For sure.
continue to compound and build together.
No, of course. Like I feel like watching that match, like, and I mean this in a complimentary way. I feel like I was like back in 2010 watching it. Like I feel like I was a kid. I'm like, yo, this is like the Alicia Fox I was watching when I was like 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, etc. Like this is crazy to see. Like you were one of the first women's wrestlers I actually ever got to meet. I was 13 years old. It was at the DC Convention Center at a car show, and like you were signing just you had like these property of WWE t-shirts that they gave you to sign and give to everyone. Now I don't know, it was very vivid. It's a very bitter, like vivid memory of mine. And like to see like you go from the WWE, like your last match was in 2019 against Becky Lynch on Raw. That was like a televised singles match. To now, like in 2024, you're wrestling in Australia against Mickie James and in a match that doesn't even look different from when you were previously in WWE, even though it's like many years removed. It's just great to see the fact that you haven't lost a step at all. Like, did you feel like your performance in the ring, like you did you feel comfortable? Did you feel like you knew everything you're gonna do and it was all coming back to you?
Malcolm, I'm like too blushed to even talk right now. I really appreciate you I really appreciate being a spectator of the sport. All of us, because I definitely roll around with the girls, and being a part of something that I'm now and coming back in the ring, I'm able to really talk about. So it makes it exist again for me. And that sounds like kind of like, I'm a very deep person, and that's kind of where I think wrestling is now allowing to be an invitation for me to kind of be creative. Like, I don't know, like my experience now as I consider myself like independent wrestler, like I think of, Zack Ryder. I want to be like Zack Ryder too. Like, I want to walk a journey like he's walked. And many of the people I get to talk to, like, and hug again, like at WrestleCons, um it's so nice to like feel it's like it makes it more, it's like the web of what our industry holds, like including like you, Malcolm, and your memories that you bring to like certain interactions we have. Like that's what's starting to make it re-exist for me, whereas in the particular company you're kind of built, I don't it's kind of a different paradox. So it's I'm excited to share it with you right now. But yeah, so it was nostalgic to be in the ring with Mickie again because we were both surprised we haven't touched since, like you said, 2010, 2009. So it was really surprising. We're like, how, sometimes the machine is like that. And it's like, man, but,
Oh man.
nothing came to me, right? I
Yeah.
forgot all of what I practiced. Sorry, guys. Hatchet, guys. Like, I felt like confident in there. Like, that was like really important because the in ring, like, you don't want to pick up anyone if you don't feel the cardio support's there. You don't want to pick anyone up from your feet and be, risking anything.
Yeah.
So I felt comfortable in knowing my placement in the ring. That's one thing Al Snow would tell us, number one, and take your own bump. So I honestly believe if you're trained, proper, what they said, like I've heard Dustin speak on his technique. And I mean, there's just so many parts that this new experience of preparing for our match symbolizes more of what I believe could happen for me in wrestling again. So I'm here for it too. I have no idea what's going to happen, Malcolm. So I'm just happy to see you. I'm happy to be here. It's nice
Oh,
seeing you.
do you think like you'll wrestle more matches going to like in the future? Like, is that a goal of yours to like now become like you just said you want to be like a Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, to having that independent run? Do you want to wrestle more matches going down the line?
Yeah, I look forward to it. Like I actually have one coming up on the 18th. I'm not, it's like I can send you all the details on that, and I'm like not gonna. I know we're recording, or I don't know if it's gonna be edited, but I can send you the information on like I think it's called like First Strike or something. So like this whole new independent scene for me is like I didn't come into wrestling knowing the independence, and the fun surprising thing is like I kind of feel a different spiritual connection to like the way I could see it for me going forward. Um it's really fun conditioning and like I don't know, it just kind of isn't just Alicia Fox. It's like I can go and really exist in my art of sport and try to like practice my instincts. And then there's, I think I really were able to see that and sharing the ring with the students at Hatchet because they were coming in with 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So the way we all can communicate in this dance was like what was attracting still before, no matter what character or championships you had or won,
For sure.
um, which never was like that was the thing I wonder. Like that was never important to Alicia Fox because I just love being a player in the sport. That's like how I feel now, and now that I'm able to like meet these women that maybe, for instance, like everyone, I've met a lot of women coming in for tryouts at WWE that I see in right now. I'm like, you know, um, it's so fun. Oh, wait, clip on. But I just love it. That's my favorite part. And I think there's just many ways to look at this industry. And yeah, Malcolm, it's like let's see what happens. It's new to me again.
Exactly. You're mentioning Hatchet. For people that don't know, that's Dexter Loomis's wrestling school. What's it like training with him? Because I mean, he's still a part of WWE, even though we haven't seen him on television in a few months, I think, right now. But what's it like training with Dexter Loomis?
So training with Dexter Loomis is like very awesome because he himself and his character and the way he knows his stalking and his timing and stuff, he's able to share that with us. And it's like really a great space because he also has another coach who I call him Uncle John. His name's John Davis. And he is a great technician. He's smooth, he's like, really quick and everything. But it's it's such a great place to just kind of just to me this I'm trying to even think of how to even explain it. Like they just teach us, it just reminds me of OVW. It gives it a nostalgia.
Yeah,
Like there's in the way that all both of them have shared their independent experience. That's what intrigues me. Like John Davis hasn't been signed by a machine that where he's been able to highlight a lot of these great skills, that he's able to share. But his experience in like working in the industry is what's so eye-opening to like what as a skill, like, I kind of I've been able to share locker room with a lot of these new women, and there's different ways that the women experience this thing, and I want nothing but the safest place when they're like meeting these promoters and going to these shows. And I'm very vocal about that because I'm a woman and I'm now experiencing the independence because it is attached to the way I support myself. So you're consciously like taking good sister, conversations with your brothers that know these people, but it's nice to be kind of like in the experience I have to like group the women that want to come and hive together. That's what I've really felt moved to like just go through these like bookings. Like, let's all roll around. Like, it's almost like its own thing. Like, the fact that Mickie and I've had a long relationship, like in WWE, not like I didn't know her, I didn't know the independents, but now I'm like, it's hard for me to figure out how to untangle how WWE wasn't wrestling. Like that's like really like I think what I'm experiencing myself is like, wow, wrestling is that and but really it's it's that. That's that. And
Yeah,
but
it's
wrestling,
different.
yeah.
When you were
It's
in WWE, like when you were part of WWE, did you have time to watch like some of the other wrestling companies like TNA and the other independents and whatnot? Or you guys were obviously very busy. Were you just too busy to check out anything else?
I try to like get real straight here, but like, yeah, I was busy. I didn't have time to, but the best thing is like your friends are going through these companies too. So you're talking, Gail Kim, dear friend of mine, she left WWE and TNA and Hall of Famer and Tracy and the ODBs, that's what I'm so like tickled about is like now at these conventions, we're able to really talk about our ourself,
Yeah.
like I'm able to like see Brooke. I saw Kelly. We're able to talk about ourselves. It sounds like really bizarre. But those are how we are able to know that there's a healthy environment for female wrestling. It doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Like I think
Yeah.
it's like I know a lot of passionate women, Becky, forever grateful that she mentioned a lot of myself in her book. There's a lot of women that are going forward, Rhea, everybody, and this journey continues. Like there is no real finish, which is kind of funny because like in my first experience, get to the finish, make it hot, like it was very what wrestling. I'm tickled because I'm like, wow, like I encourage all of us women from the diva era to like step into the ring and just like find a new self again. Cause like we all deserve that. Like Mickie taught me this trip, like, we work hard to know what it is, and you just don't ever want to talk bad about your own work. Like you just can't do it. And to me, my experience to add with that was, you know what? She's right. If she didn't invite me to come to this match, I would have no idea the invitation that was waiting on, like, if I tried, like, with an effort that I remember making, like, honestly. Because if you're so busy, doing what you
That makes
need to
sense.
do, like, for me, that was a blind spot. So that's where I encourage the women, like, hey, just come roll around with me, but
Yeah.
it helps having a school that makes me feel like I can take, you know, accountability of the craft and try to keep practice.
Of
That's
course.
that's the work.
That's fair. Like when you look back at like your era of like Divas wrestling, women's wrestling in WWE, is there like certain people nowadays like you would like to like step back into the ring with and have like some more classic matches against obviously like you said Mickie James. Like is there any other names from that era, that class of women's wrestlers that you'd like to face again?
Yeah, so kind of like pre-diva era or
Yeah.
like
A little bit of both, whichever one.
a little bit of everybody. You know who I'd love to have a nice little run with is Chrissy Hemme because like I was a huge fan of her when I got to developmental. I also watched the women. I loved watching Layla. I loved watching Eve. Like this is before I made, an in-ring presence too. But I think even further, like I would love to see how I think it would be nice to tag against Molly Holly because I think she's got like a little sass or Ivory. I love like all these women that, you know, um, just like there's just so many Beth, but Beth was my first OVW. Well, actually, it was Maurice. Maurice and I did a little like run around at a house show, and that was like, we're like, we can do this, double ducks and cartwheels later. We're just like, oh, this is great. But it
Yeah.
was that taught us how to be women in the business, or the fact that we can esteem to be, you know, because we saw her get her contract and do these things that looked very, she's capital top notch diva, and
Yeah.
it's like it were just really, she taught us how to be women. So it just kind of was a thing that we experienced together in that locker room. And I think that's the best part about being a woman in the business is we know a lot about each other because we've stuck together a long decade of time, goods and bads, and I think when we all together we realize that we experience the same like fit of it, but we all have totally different stories. It's this interesting how we have more pages for a book, it's like, but we have to be together, and that's the part where I say if you're in the ring, you'll eventually find yourself in a match with some woman who knows somebody that knows where you're at. And seriously, it's like a hive. It tangles itself up, I love it. That's what this reminds me of. Like, this is just my symbol of saying, I'm going to demonstrate good order in this business. So if you see me coming, like, this is like a lightning, but just hold
Yeah.
on. Like, I'm just saying, like, but it's what I'm seeing, like, in the girls that are going. I feel like a traffic controller because some girls are going to WWE, AEW, and I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Seriously, man, everyone go for it. And then it's like, I just think my best place is to be like a good traffic controller. I'm just
Do you ever like see yourself wanting to join like a different wrestling company if it's like an AEW or TNA?
some days yes, some days no.
That's fair. How come? If I can ask.
Oh, because like again, I always think about like Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
And he's able to just really work territories, and I think that was just like fun. That's what I find at Hatchet is like this nostalgic feeling of like when Kelly and I went to practice. Like I was pretty young myself, but the people that I were, had the privilege of growing with, like even the Cody Rhodes Punk, like not to name drop, but like honestly, Rosa Mendez, Maria Kanellis, there were women, even just all the women that were also successful in TNA, Angelina Love, she was at WWE, Tranisha, she was at WWE, like the Deep South girls, like all these women have, held hands of another woman somewhere, So it just is a very curious like experience for me, but I think I'm better to do that when I can have more boots on the ground in other companies and meeting more women too. I think it's
For
like
sure.
what I want to do because it makes wrestling more sweet. I don't know.
If you could make like a list, like the Vix Crow hit list, let's just say, of 5 women that you would like to wrestle, in the next year or so, who would they be?
Wow. Well, I always think about Jada Stone because I think she's just so athletic. She's just gonna
She's
fly
great.
around.
Yeah.
And for myself, I think I'm a good base. I think I'm better at base. Like I'm a little too lanky to be flying everywhere. Let's see. If of course, Rhea Ripley. I think she's on everyone's list. So she's definitely my number two. Well, she doesn't have a number. Everyone doesn't have a number, but definitely Rhea Ripley. Let's see. I do love Becky. I would love to go and really get some time with her one day. Again, uh let's see, Lita. She's so bad, right? And all her gal friends, something like that. I'd love to go do something like that. And even like I guess I mean it is kind of interesting, but I'm trying to think outside the box too. Again, Chrissy Hemme. I thought she was just so cute, and she again is like that. I mean, all the women, any women that have like taken a bump.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, there's so many people you can name. Obviously, I'm just like that's just like the first 5 that come to your mind. Like, there's definitely plenty more that you could easily say for sure. When you look at the difference between like your character now, Vix Crow versus Alicia Fox, what's the difference for people that haven't seen a Vix Crow match or eventually will be watching you?
Yes, I appreciate it. So when I'm in the ring, like, it's kind of funny because those ideas of like, being in the ring and hearing like cues from Fit, Al, like Steve Curran, Dr. Tom, like Billy Kidman, like flash in my head, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm in that learning space with the kids, like they kind of all flush naturally. And that's where I was like, oh, I kind of like hear myself in here, and that's, I guess, how I can kind of describe the actual moment. But, you know, um, Vix Crow in a sense, like I always envision myself in like this haunted garden, like kind of re-picking up my notebook or my whatever going on. But like I kind of envision myself like really scooping myself back, like almost like a turnip. Like when it's just ready for season, you like you just pop it out. So it's like everything that comes back to me, whether it's like a power slam and certain timing, whether I like saw it like in my journey so far, like it sometimes comes to mind, and that's where I want to like try and share and practice and try to nurture as well, because I think it's just intriguing too. And
Sure.
I think I love that part about us having knowing it before, people teaching us for it. So that's what I want to kind of be, able to give it back to, somewhere in that position. So I think that's why I haven't really thought about like where does that go?
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Looking at some of the like current women stars in like WWE right now, Jade Cargill is like one of the biggest names in the industry currently. What's your thoughts on her and seeing what she's done so far in WWE and that the entrance she had at WrestleMania with Bianca and Naomi was so powerful? What's your thoughts on Jade Cargill?
I'm a big Jade Cargill fan. It was funny when she was at Dynamite. I was a big fan of hers. Like she looks like a cartoon. She
Yeah,
looks
she's jacked.
real. She looks real. I would love to see her really find her speed in there and do it. And then I think that's the best part about that experience is like, when you think about an independent contractor in so many ways, you do it, you know what I'm saying? Like know how to make it a business. Like, it's just a very empowering position that she can be in this time and stuff. So I say go, do it for because I'm telling you, even like I said, inviting women back in the ring, there needs to be a lot of strong women keeping that ring open for us so we can have an economics to go or an environment to still go.
For
So
sure.
there's women doing the work all over the world, even thinking about this Australian time zone, right?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, I'm definitely a big fan of Jade and everything she's doing right now. Like it's cool to see. And I'm hoping that she continues on that success and that path and making sure she becomes a big star within that system of WWE. During your time in WWE, your last television singles match that I mentioned earlier was against Becky Lynch. What was it like wrestling Becky Lynch? And obviously, she's again one of the biggest stars, not even just women's wrestling, but just pro wrestling in general. She has a book out now. Like she's doing so many things in her life. What's your thoughts on like wrestling Becky Lynch and seeing what she's doing now?
Yeah, I have many positive, admirable thoughts for Becky. Like the thing is like that's the thing, like finding your speed and like she works her butt off. Like I watched her matches with Trish and how she went. It's like more, her heart has not changed. You can see she's the same. It's just so nice. It's the girl that I met at NXT back before, like I think her Paige Charlotte got caught up. And it's nice to see women like that winning. It's nice to see women like that winning. And the women that are watching her, that are not of a wrestling age yet. Like,
Yeah,
these women to come because they do exist. It's so phenomenal. And in the ring, she can travel and do that, demonstrate that. Like she can do that actively, and every woman in are doing that. It's such a powerful thing. It really is. So I'm
yeah,
really happy for Becky, especially with her book. She can put texture to it, of her
yeah,
story. I love that she really was a champion in writing her own story. That's very powerful. And I think that every woman should always put pen to paper. That's definitely helped powerful for me too. So it's good. I think it's strong vulnerability for us all. So that's what I feel about that. I know that's long-winded, but
Oh no, no,
I
you're good.
really am, dig this women's subjects.
Of course, of course. I was looking up some of your matches, Alicia, or Vix Crow, I should say, and your most viewed match on YouTube at least has 29 million views and is against Ronda Rousey. Do you remember wrestling Ronda and just like experience in the ring with her? Because I know she comes from that background to UFC where they hit hard, they're looking to kill, and then now you're in WWE where you're trying to entertain instead of trying to hurt the person in the ring. What was it like wrestling her?
Yeah, it was good. Professional always. I mean, like that's the thing. We had fit or we had someone like I think TJ was around us, but then we always have all the girls to like look and make it look right. Cause sometimes like, that's the best thing about that bond. Like I love in the creative process of that, like how you can work out a flow with people. And I think in that time it was nice to be able to merge like from the Divas eras and the ones that established us to be able to like have the Maria Menounos and like Ronda Rousey's like we just what I'm saying,
Yeah,
it's like so that was a really that was nice to experience with each other. So I don't know, like, if the match was not good or if it were great,
I liked
but,
it.
like, when I think back, like, what I love is I've had memories with these women and taken pictures with like, we really did have a life of that on the road, so that's really important too, and that's kind of, yeah, so all the things, but yeah, so I was willing to figure out how we were gonna make this work.
For sure. Like as you started to like wrestle more and train and etc. What's become like the easiest thing for you now stepping back into the ring? What's been muscle memory for you?
Running the ropes.
Oh, nice.
I think that was always my favorite one though. But I really love like kind of doing those conditioning drills, kind of
Yeah.
those universals and stuff because I did something about like that kind of workout too, and then just like the timing and then just that primal skill of it.
Yeah.
I think that that's like what is like, oh yeah. It's
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of people when like they're learning how to run the ropes and whatnot, like when I started training at least, there's a lot of people in my class that like trying to learn how to run the ropes was so hard because you imagine it's like bouncy and then you hit it, you're like, that did not move. I must throw my whole body into this. Like, like the first time I hit the ropes, I'm like, my body did not bounce off that the way I thought it did. I have to legitimately throw myself into this and hope that I don't fall in between the ropes and hurt myself. But
yeah,
yeah,
grabbing that rope.
yeah, you gotta link it. You don't want to fall through. But as we start to wrap this up, for fans that are now watching and seeing what you're doing now, what can fans expect out of you going forward into the future as far as like wrestling and whatnot?
Yeah, I think it just kind of expect me to kind of dig up some tricks, like whether they're past old, borrowed, vintage, relicish, I'm having a good time kind of finding myself in that too. So certain things I'm digging up out of the ground, that's kind of um the spring of it, it's kind of like let's just see what happens. And yeah, so hopefully you guys can all just like stay tuned on what's new and where.
Well, we are definitely very excited to see it. You've been very gracious with your time. Where can they find you on social media if they're not already following you?
Guess you can find me still on my Instagram. It's kind of my where I'm buried, Also on vixcrow.com and Vix Crow YouTube channel. But all those regular social links are all kind of looped together. So but definitely on my Instagram, which is at the Foxy One, Vix Crow. Thank you.
There it is, Vix Crow. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, my name's Malcolm. This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. Hey.